90% nickel, and 10% iron. This specific ratio was identified within the core of 3I Atlas, and it is a reading that simply has no reason to exist in the natural world. In a universe defined by the chaotic, iron-rich debris of long-dead stars, discovering a refined superalloy inside a comet is like stumbling upon a precision-engineered turbine in the middle of a prehistoric desert. This is the industrial signature of something manufactured, a pot of gold concealed by a veil of cosmic dust that we're only beginning to pull back. This isn't just a minor deviation from the norm. It is a fundamental challenge to our understanding of the void. We were told to look for a dirty snowball, but 3I Atlas is proving to be something much colder, harder, and more deliberate. While the silence of space is usually absolute, populated only by the passive drift of ice and rock, the data surrounding 3I Atlas is screaming as we move further into 2026. For months, the mainstream narrative has attempted to frame this third interstellar visitor as a rare, exotic traveler from a distant star. But you can only disregard the numbers for so long. When the spectroscopic peaks returned, showing a composition that mirrors the advanced heat-resistant alloys used in human aerospace engineering, the conversation shifted forever. We are no longer hunting for signs of life in the form of radio whispers. We are looking at the physical evidence of cosmic engineering. Currently, the 3I is breaking every model of astrophysics we have. It's not just the metal itself. It's the way that metal is behaving. From a rotation period that remains perfectly locked to its axis to jets of energy that point directly at the sun, this object is moving through our backyard like a sentinel. The darkness is no longer just empty space. It has become a stage for an object that appears to have its own agenda. As we confront the data from the Rubin Observatory and the latest research from figures like Avi Loeb, we have to face a reality as terrifying as it is fascinating. The silence is over. 3I Atlas is here, and it is composed of materials that nature alone simply cannot refine. The industrial hallmark. I've spent a significant amount of time studying the chemical charts of our solar system, and they typically follow a very predictable, almost boring script. Hydrogen, messy clumps of iron, and silicate dust. Nature is a messy cook that rarely bothers to refine things. But when researchers analyzed the light bouncing off 3I Atlas, the numbers didn't just deviate, they shattered the scale. We're talking about a composition that is roughly 90% nickel. To put that in perspective, most metallic asteroids we've studied are dominated by iron, with nickel making up a tiny fraction, usually around 5 or 10%. Reversing that ratio isn't a natural variation. It is an industrial hallmark. Here is the part that truly messes with my head. As humans, we use 90-tenths nickel-iron alloys for one specific reason: to build things that cannot fail under extreme pressure. We use them for high-performance jet engine parts, for the hull plating on deep-sea vessels, and for components that must survive the violent, searing stresses of atmospheric reentry. It is a material for survivors. It is a material for things meant to cross light years without crumbling into dust. Some researchers wonder if we are simply seeing a weird rock from another star system, but others are pushing back with growing intensity. The laws of chemistry and physics are supposed to be universal. If you find a refined alloy in our backyard, the simplest explanation isn't that nature got lucky in another galaxy and produced a pure industrial superalloy by accident. It's that someone or something manufactured it. This 3I Atlas signature is effectively a techno-signature. It is a physical calling card made of refined metal. Some call it industrial evidence, and for good reason. It suggests the object isn't just a clump of ice, but perhaps a casing, a shell, or the remains of something far more complex. The silence of the void is usually filled with the drift of random debris, but 3I Atlas feels like it was built to withstand the journey. It's not just moving through the darkness, it's surviving it in a way that ice and dust simply cannot. I can't shake the feeling that we are looking at the bones of a machine. If you were to send a probe across the vast emptiness between stars, you wouldn't build it out of ice. You'd build it out of a nickel-iron superalloy that can handle the radiation, the micrometeorites, and the absolute zero of the void. And that is exactly what 3I Atlas is showing us. It's as if a refinery from another world sent its best work through our neighborhood, and we are still trying to call it a rock. The impossible watchman. However, the chemistry is only the beginning of the headache. If the metal didn't convince you, the way 3I Atlas moves certainly will. Most comets tumble in a chaotic and irregular fashion. When they approach the sun, they start to vent gas, which acts like a series of tiny, uncontrolled thrusters that make the object spin like a broken top. It's a mess of physics, but 3I Atlas has a fixed axis. During its pass in late 2025 and into early 2026, researchers noticed something that should be impossible for a natural body. Its rotation period, roughly 7.1 hours, is consistent, but its axis of rotation stayed locked. It kept its gaze pointed almost directly at the sun with a deviation of no more than 20 degrees. To put it simply, it acted like a camera tracking a target or a solar panel staying locked onto its primary power source. Statistically, the chance of this happening naturally through coincidences in interstellar space is between 1.5 and 6%. Those aren't the kind of odds you want to bet the house on. It's like tossing a coin and having it land on its edge 10 times in a row. At some point, you have to stop calling it luck and start looking for the design. This impossible watchman behavior is one of the most debated aspects of 3I Atlas. If it were a natural comet, the outgassing would have pushed that axis all over the place. Instead, 3I Atlas stayed steady and focused. One hypothesis is that the object possesses an internal stabilization system, a gyroscope of incredible power. Or perhaps its shape is so perfectly engineered that solar radiation pressure itself keeps it aligned, like a high-tech sail catching the light. Whatever the case, it suggests a level of intent. It's hard to call something a rock when it behaves like a sentinel. The way it keeps its gaze on our star as it drifts through the void makes me feel like we're the ones being watched. It's a quiet, cold realization that 3I Atlas might be a piece of functional technology that is still operating on some level. It's moving through the darkness, but it isn't lost. It knows exactly where the sun is. It knows where the energy is. And as it moves toward its near-opposition alignment with Earth on January 22nd, 2026, it reminds us that the void is not as blind as we thought. 3I Atlas is seeing something we aren't. And it's doing so with a mathematical precision that defies the chaos of the natural universe. The energy paradox. Then there is the issue of the anti-tail. Usually, a comet's tail points away from the sun, blown back by the solar wind. It's a basic law of the solar system. But 3I Atlas has a jet that points forward toward the sun. Moreover, this jet is incredibly bright, too bright for a comet of its size. When astronomers analyze the light coming from that forward jet, they hit another wall. To achieve that level of brightness, the object would have to be ejecting massive amounts of material. We aren't talking about fine dust here. To reflect that much light and not be pushed back by the solar wind, 3I Atlas would have to be spitting out boulders the size of houses, roughly 10 meters across. Think about that. If a comet was constantly losing house-sized chunks of itself, it would vanish in a matter of weeks. It would crumble into nothing but a cloud of debris. But 3I Atlas isn't crumbling. It's staying solid. It is maintaining its structure and its brightness despite the fact that it is seemingly losing mass at an impossible rate. This is the energy paradox. It shows that 3I Atlas has more energy than its size can explain. Where is that energy coming from? If it's not losing its own mass to create that brightness, then what are we seeing? Is it a reflection off a massive metallic surface? Or is the jet something else entirely? A form of propulsion that we are misinterpreting as a simple gas cloud? Some pushback, suggesting the boulders are actually parts of a disintegrating hull or perhaps specialized sensors being deployed as it passes through the inner solar system. The problem is that every natural explanation for 3I Atlas requires us to invent a new type of physics or a new type of comet we've never seen before. Some astronomers argue we just don't understand comets as well as we thought But others, like Avi Loeb, suggest we need to be more open to the idea of artificiality. When a car moves faster than the wind, you don't assume the wind changed. You assume there's an engine under the hood. 3I Atlas is the car, and the physics of the void are telling us that there's an engine somewhere inside that refined nickel shell. A messenger from the dark. 3I Atlas is outputting something that its natural body shouldn't be able to provide. It is a mystery wrapped in a superalloy, and it is moving deeper into our system every single day, seemingly ignoring the drift that should be controlling it. The darkness of space is great at hiding secrets, but 3I Atlas is shining too brightly to be ignored. It's as if it wants to be seen, but only by those who are willing to look at the data without the blinders of tradition. Sometimes I think we underestimate how quiet the universe can be, and perhaps we've become too comfortable in that silence. We like to think of space as a place where rocks float blindly and gas clouds glow without purpose. We like the idea of being alone because it's safe and predictable. But 3I Atlas is a reminder that the void isn't just an empty room, it's a vast ocean. And sometimes, things wash up on our shores that we aren't prepared to understand. Whether it's the 90% nickel composition, the fixed axis that watches the sun, or the paradox of its energy output, everything about 3I Atlas points away from the dirty snowball theory and towards something industrial, something built, something with a history that didn't start in our solar system. I don't know if we will ever get a definitive answer. Maybe it will just drift back into the darkness, leaving us with nothing but blurred photos and frantic data sheets. But I can't shake the feeling that we've already seen enough. We've seen the industrial evidence. And once you see it, you can't really go back to believing in a silent, empty universe. 3I Atlas is a messenger. Even if we haven't fully translated the message yet, it tells us that out there in the vast drift between stars, someone is building things. Someone is using refined metals. Someone is defying the 1.5% probability. And now, they are here. They are moving through our backyard. If you found this journey into the 3I Atlas mystery as unsettling and fascinating as I have, please consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. It helps us keep the lights on while we stare into the dark, waiting for the next anomaly to cross our path. And if you want to support our deep space surveillance even further, feel free to become a member of our community. We'd love to have you with us as we track what's moving through the silence. Until next time, keep looking up. The void might be silent, but it's never truly empty. I'd love to hear what you think about this, so drop a comment below. If you enjoyed our conversation today, please share this video and subscribe to help the channel grow. Every bit of support counts,